Salutations, and this video lesson is for Intro to Communications, Understanding Interpersonal Communication. The video lesson that I'm doing correlates with this, excuse me, I got note cards, this textbook. You may have a different edition than the one that I have. They're pretty similar. Some of the wording may change, but this is the video lesson I'm going with, which is chapter 6 out of this edition of a textbook. I'm looking off to the side. My notes are to the side, and background change. So let's begin first. Well, I like to preface this with, I do video lessons that correlate and go along with the Word documents and PowerPoint presentations that I post for the lesson. And it's just an aid. It's not new information. It's just kind of a breakdown of information. And I just really enjoy putting extra information out there for the course and the textbook and the lessons that we go through, just so it makes more sense. That's how my brain works. So let's go ahead and get started with the textbook definition of interpersonal communication. This is communication that occurs between two people who simultaneously attempt to mutually influence each other, usually for the purpose of managing relationships. Now, when I say relationships, I don't specifically just mean romantic relationships. It's also workplace relationships, friendships, and family relationships. Though a lot of the examples from the book center more toward romantic relationships, just understand that interpersonal communication is not just romantic relationships. It's all different forms, but it's the communication between two on a mediated communication, which is either face-to-face or electronic-based media, or electronic mediated communication, EMC, which we have talked about numerous times. So FTF and EMC. But interpersonal communication is just the communication between to manage the relationship, to maintain the relationship. So going forth from there is we go from talking about the building blocks of interpersonal relationship, and then we start talking about initiating relationships. Initiating relationships, there are kind of two degrees of this that the book discusses. There's the relationship of circumstance. And relationships of circumstance are those relationships that exist because of where you're at, who you're around, and who you may be in groups with. So relationships are formed in families, classmates, workmates. You could be in the same group, you could be in the same club, you could have the same, there's a common ground there that starts the friendship. Some of your childhood friends, they may be your childhood friends because you started school together and you went through school together. Or maybe you met in church. Or, maybe one of your best friends is your cousin, and because you always see them every holiday, you see them every family get together. And perhaps you have one of those really tight-knit families that it's not just you and your immediate family, like parents or sisters, but also your aunts and your uncles and your grandparents and your cousins. And, some families are like that. My example for large families is like, if you ever watch the movies, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, large families. So those are relationships of circumstance. Then there's relationships of choice. This is where you make the decision to initiate and maintain a relationship. Now, it could be a classmate or someone that you're in school with, because a lot of times as we get older, if you're in school with someone, that doesn't necessarily mean you're in the same class. And that's true as you get older and continue on. Or it could be someone that you work with, but not in an immediate setting. So say you work in a restaurant and you're a server and maybe they're a cook. So yeah, you have interaction, but you're both not servers and you're both not cooks. So you're not like right there with each other the whole time. That's choice. You make the choice, hey, I want to get to know them better, as in you want to move forward and try a romantic relationship, or hey, man, they're really cool. I think we could be really good friends. So you move forward that way. That then brings us into interpersonal attraction, why we like who we like. So the book's definition for attraction is the motivational state that causes someone to think, feel, and behave in a positive manner toward another person. And then they kind of piggyback off that and talk about interpersonal attraction. And this is the degree to which one desires to form or maintain an interpersonal relationship with another. Okay, so we have learned the book definition of attraction, which we all kind of know anyway. And then interpersonal attraction is just to which degree do we want to maintain this relationship. Okie dokie. So the book then talks about 5 elements of interpersonal attraction. There's physical attraction. And this is the form of attraction. It's purely based on someone's physical self. Now, I'm sure you or someone you know is like, well, I'm not really attracted. It's not so much the looks for me. I like their personality. But then you have the souls that are straightforward and like, nah, I like blondes or I like brunettes. I like a thick build. I like an athletic build. I like the dad bod. I like the mom bod. I like, the curves, or I like blue eyes. I like tall. I prefer medium height. Oh, I really love like olive skin. Oh, I really love, just it can go forward. It's just the attraction purely based on physical attributes. Okay. Then there's sexual attraction. This is the form of attraction that's based on the desire to have sexual contact with another person. The physical and the sexual they're on the same road together. They're not necessarily like joined, but they're traveling the same route. The book tells us that we don't have to have physical to have the sexual, but they coincide. Now, what I mean by you don't have to have the physical to have the sexual is the book describes it as perhaps you've seen someone on television, in a TV series, a musician, an actor, a model, some kind of personality, but you've never physically met them, but you're attracted to them. And it's not to say that you're not attracted to their physical attributes, but you're like, you haven't physically seen them. So that's where it says it doesn't have to, but very much, obviously, the physical and the sexual you're on the road together, hey, traveling down the road. Then there's similarity. With similarity, attraction increases if our characteristic values, attitudes, interests, and personality traits are similar to those to the other person. So it could be you have the same hobbies. You have the same spiritual background, or, you have the same views on religion. You have the same political stances. Maybe you have it's just because you have similar interests, and that's what causes the attraction. That's what, initiates it. Oh man, they're really into horror flicks. I love horror flicks. That's so cool. Or they love baking cookies. I love baking cookies. Do you see where I'm going with here? It's the same thing. You're in a group, and that's a, circumstance, choice, and then you decide to move forward. Then there's proximity. In this element, it's people more likely to be interpersonally attracted to people who they are physically close to. Okay, well, that makes sense. Say you're in a work environment. If you see someone day in and day out, the likelihood of attraction to initiate a relationship, be it friendship or romantic, or a workplace, because you hear people joke all the time, well, that's my work wife, or that's my work husband, or da-da-da-da, they're not really married in real life, but they have a friendship, a very close friendship at work. There's people that you can be really chill and really cool with at work, but you don't really see each other much outside of work. So things like that that's what we're talking about with proximity. And then the last one is complementarily. I had dental work done last week, so talking is not my strongest point right now, but here we go. In complementarily, we may be attracted to someone whose abilities, interests, and needs differ, but balance from our own. Here's the example the book gives, and I think it's a great example. Perhaps you're kind of messy, but you're attracted to someone who's very much not so. Or perhaps you have a friend or your partner is a touch of a hoarder and you're a touch of a, neat freak. I have organized chaos in my life. If you can see behind me, I am an organized chaos soul. Always have been, always will be. A lot of times it may look seriously disorganized and just crazy. I'm a crafter. I very much have 4,000 hobbies that go on in my mind and in the world. And so right now I'm sitting at my craft, like my work table, but it's also I have 2 craft areas in my house. But that's me. But I know where things are. I can tell you, if you go to the 3rd shelf in my craft room to the right in this bin, you will find a marble. Well, my husband, my partner, he is not organized chaos. He very much is, I don't want to say a neat freak, but he definitely has that tendency. Now, I'm organized in the sense like it looks chaotic, but everything has a home. That's what I tell my kids all the time when they clean. Everything has a home. You just got to put it in its home. Put it in its home. Or he has a tendency to hoard things, whereas I have a tendency to be like, whoop, we're done. So that's what they're talking about with that complementarity situation, is that you're not alike, but your differences complement each other. Those are the 5 elements that it talks about in the realm of initiating relationships. These are what cause us to want to initiate a friendship, a workplace friendship, or go from being just cousins to like best friends, or, maybe you have a sibling that throughout the years has become a really close friend of yours. Romantic relationships, all that is what they talk about here. And after we talk about initiating relationships, then we discuss communicating our attraction. It just tells us different ways that we can communicate. Hey, I'm interested, or hey, let's be friends. With this, ways that you can, a lot of this comes non-verbally, I said, but the ways we can communicate, especially in a romantic, because that's, like I said, the book gives us a lot more romantic relationship examples, but, maybe you're more apt to touch. Oh, you touch the arm, there's just, your physical contact becomes more increased. Your proximity to each other. If you don't want to be around someone, you're not going to sit right there beside of them or up in their face. Like that's not going to happen. But if you have an interest in, you want to communicate, hey, I'm open, let's be friends, or hey, I'm open, let's get to know one another, you're going to make yourself open. You're going to sit closer to someone. Your disposition will become more cheerful. And when I say that, your tone of voice, your inflection, your pitch, all that changes to reflect your openness and interest. You become open. Like this is very closed off. If you're near someone and they're like this, head down, shoulder, like arms crossed, looking down, it's conveyed to me, that conveys I'm not really interested. I don't want to talk, or I don't want to get to, but if they're like, oh, the lean in, the adjusting of clothes, flipping with hair to be like, hey, here, there's just different things that can be done that non-verbally, especially, that communicate our attraction. And sometimes we do it and we don't even realize we're doing it. That is like the funniest thing. I don't want to say the funniest thing. I used to people watch in college a lot. I did theater and then I did communications, and through communications and theater both, I would people watch just to watch mannerisms and stuff like that. So I would go to a restaurant and just watch the interactions, of college age kids, and you would see the nonverbal flirtatious open, and then like you also see it with friendships too, and if you're mad at a friend, you're not going to run up and hug them. You're probably going to be more of a cold, like off-putting cold shoulder. So that's the portion of the book that talks about communicating our attraction. And then it goes into initiating relationships. There's several ways to initiate relationships and how comfortable you are. Some people are more comfortable in a face-to-face situation. Some people are more comfortable to try to break the ice via electronically. So with that being said, there's reducing uncertainty when it comes to initiating relationships, and there's 3 strategies to reducing uncertainty in moving forward in a relationship. Getting to know someone, getting to know more about someone. So there's the passive strategy, and this is a non-communication strategy for reducing uncertainty by observing others in situations. This is straight up where you don't interact. Maybe you go on, you social media. I don't want to say the word stalk, but you check out social media. You see what their likes are, what they're into. Are they single? Or if you're looking to be a friend with someone, what kind of stuff are they into? Do they have the same likes and dislikes? And you can find out a lot about people through social media. Then there's active strategy. This is a communicative strategy by reducing uncertainty by getting information from a third party. This is where you ask a friend. Hey, so I see that you're friends with da-da-da-da-da, that's really cool. What do they like? Or if you're trying to date someone, you could be like, oh, hey, so I saw that you're buddies with them. I really like them. Are they single? What are they into? Like, what kind of, are they quiet? What's their, this is just where you're asking others. You're checking out the situation from a third party, but you're quasi getting into it, so that's why you're asking. Now, the last strategy is called interactive strategy. This is a strategy of communicating directly with the source that has the greatest potential to reduce uncertainty. That'd be going up to the person like, hey, you want to exchange numbers? Or, hey, I'd really like to hang out sometime. How about we get each other's info and we'll text and we can hang out? Or, hey, I'm really interested in you. Are you single? Or would you like to get a cup of coffee? Or would you like to have dinner? Or would you like to have a drink? This is just where you go straight to the source and you're like, hey, I want to get to know you. Maybe not that aggressively, but you get my point. So those are the different strategies when it comes to reducing uncertainty. And then it kind of says, what do you say first? Are you more of a getting to just know you? Like, hey, how's it going? Oh, gosh, you're in so-and-so's class. That's a, really fun class. What do you think about it? Or that's really rough. Da-da-da. Or are you like cheesy pickup line? There's 2 routes you can go with that. If you do the cheesy pickup line, it's because you seriously stand behind it. Think of if you've ever seen The Night of the Roxbury, the brothers, they are the kings of cheesy pickup lines. Like, did you clean your pants with Windex? Because I can see myself in them. Like, that's what I'm talking about when I say cheesy pickup lines. Or you do it for the comedic. Like, do you say something funny to break the ice, per se? Like, what do you say? What do you think is more comfortable to start conversations with? And it just talks about the art of asking questions. And as you get to know someone, you ask questions. You tell stories and you ask questions. And this goes along with managing relationships as well. Which I'm just going to go ahead and roll into that. With managing relationships, so you've got through I'm interested, you've initiated conversation, it's now time to manage that relationship, whatever it kind of be. There's self-disclosure. And self-disclosure is where you voluntarily provide information to others that they would not learn if you did not tell them. So this is just where you, in any relationship, in a romantic, friendship, or what, you give information back and forth. You say something and see their response. You're testing your waters, per se, in self-disclosure. You give some, and then when they return self-disclosure, that's called reciprocity. So tit for tat. You're going back and forth. I'm going to give you some information, and then there's that risk. Whoo, did I say too much? Whoo, what did I say? That's crazy. That's what I'm saying here. Like, so self-disclosure is the giving back of information, is giving information to manage and maintain. Reciprocity is receiving information that someone else has disclosed. Risk is, did I say too much? Ooh, did I hear too much? So all that falls under managing relationships, which pretty much, that makes sense to me. In a romantic or a friendship, you know each other. You get to know each other, and then you start giving the information. Oh, this one time, I had this crazy, story of, a Santa Claus in the mall, da 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 da. And then like, oh gosh, that reminds me of a time that I, kind of similar, that we had this interaction with the mall Easter bunny. I know, really weird example, but this is what I came up with at the top of my head. But it's just the back and forth. It's how you build, and it's how you keep an open dialogue, and it's how someone gets to know you, because we all don't know everything about everyone. You could be with someone for a few months, a few years, a few decades, and they could still be giving you information that surprises you. So that's in managing relationships, is self-disclosure. And within that, there's a thing called the Jahari Window. Jahari Window. Let me see if I can draw my little Jahari Window here. How many times can you say that? When it comes to managing relationships and disclosure, theorists and communication folks, they created, well, I don't have, what is his name right off the top of my head? Joe Luft, and Harry Ingram Jahari. And you have to think of it like a window, a 4-pane window. So in these 4 different quadrants, and they can change. As we get to know someone, these quadrant sizes can change. I'm kind of making them quasi the same size right now. Okay, so literally awful Jahari window right now. So this is open. Open is what's known to you and known to everybody else. So this is, everybody knows this information. This could be your name. Who's your mama? Sorry, who's your mom? Who's your dad? That Southern joke. Everybody asks you who your parents are. So 2 is blind. And this is what's known to others, but not known to self. This is like kind of what people, you may think you're frugal, but people may call you a tightwad. You may think you're perky, but people may call you flighty. I've used that example on myself. I am a very perky person, especially starting out after college. Very perky, very eager, very happy. And for that perkiness, I was called flighty way too much in my life. 3 is hidden. This is known to you, but not known to others. So I'm going to draw like a little doodle. Yay. Everybody knows. 2. We're just going to question because we don't know, but others do. This is what we know, but not others know. So perhaps you are a Star Trek fanatic, but nobody knows it. Or maybe you have a hidden talent that nobody knows about. These are things that you know, but no one else knows. So we just kind of keep it. I don't know why I'm doodling like this. And then this last one is not known to you or known to anybody else. And when I say that, there could be a situation that says, what would you do if this happened? You could say what you think you would do, but we don't know because we don't live in this situation. What would you do if you were at a store and it caught on fire? I'm trying to use extreme examples. You could be like, well, I would get out. But we don't, obviously we would try our best to get out, but like, it's the unknown for everyone. I don't know it. You don't know it. Nobody knows it. These are your hypotheticals. So again, and this window can change. It can be like, okay, say you're a really open person, like very much informative. Okay, this is your open window. That's that 1. Everybody knows about it. My 1's really crazy looking. Let's try that again. Everybody knows. And let's put you 2 as, this is information that you don't know about yourself, but others do. And then, so you're so open, maybe the not known to anyone, or known to you but not everyone else, because you are so open, is really small box. And that leaves the unknown, which is 4. I'm going to question mark because nobody knows. So that kind of gives you the breakdown. That's all part of managing relationships. and self-disclosure and reciprocity and all that falls under. It's pretty much, they prettied it up explanation-wise with a Jahari window. And like I says, as you get to know someone, what is known to you and what is known to them, what is openly known can be larger. What is the completely unknown? It all changes, just depending on your relationship with whom. You know, your relationship is different with your mother than what it is with your father or your grandmother or your sister or your brother or your kids. You know, it's just the evolution of managing relationships. That's pretty much all I'm going to touch base on for this lesson. Like I said, this went with interpersonal communication out of our communication textbook. Okay, folks, thanks so much.